Okay, so I would like to say hello to all participants and welcome. On behalf of the Dharma Friends of Israel, I'm excited to greet you all to the second part of the teachings on the chapter on wisdom from the renowned text, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, written by the Bodhisattva Shantideva. We will meet here for the next 3 weekends for 2 sessions every Friday and Saturday. A few words about our teacher, Geshe Dorji Damdul, who generously accepted to give us these teachings. Geshe, presently the director of Tibet House in New Delhi, is known for his vast knowledge and his unique ability to present the deepest and most profound points of the Buddha Dharma in an easy-to-understand manner. We are immensely grateful for the opportunity to receive from him teachings on this great text and wish that it will benefit all listeners. I would also like to take this opportunity and thank the Tibet House team for their dedicated work in supporting our group in this teaching and enabling us and so many around the world to enjoy Geshe-la's teaching. Before we begin, I would like to point out several technical issues. First, the meetings are recorded and presented live on the Dharma Friends of Israel's YouTube channel, where you can find many more recordings and lectures from other great teachers. A link to the DSI YouTube channels will be posted on the chat. If possible, please turn on your camera so that the teacher will be able to engage with you and also to create a nicer atmosphere for us all. Also, please make sure that your microphone is off unless given permission to ask questions. Last but not least, I would also like to mention that all the DFI's activities included in this one are conducted by volunteers and given free of charge. For those of you who wish to practice generosity, we will very much appreciate your donations. All donations will be used to cover the cost of this event, and the remainder will be offered to Geshe-la and the Tibet House. A link to donation and a link to the DFI website for more information will be presented on the chat. Now, without further ado, I would like to allow Geshe-la to start the teaching. Thank you very, very much for your generosity and kindness, and hope that we will have a very nice and productive meeting. Thank you very, very much.
Okay. Good morning. And then the Singaporeans, good evening. And Israel, early good morning. Okay, say the otherwise, oh, Russia, early good morning. Yeah. Okay, so this is a continuation of where we left last time. Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, chapter 9, the wisdom chapter. And what we are doing now is quite, of course, this is going to be a little technical and also academic. And let us not underestimate our own potentials. Finally, to really lead a meaningful life. If we always go for the easier ways, we will never succeed in our life, and we will never achieve what we seek. So we should be more courageous, and we should believe in our own potential, technically referred to as the Buddha nature, the true nature, purity within us. So with this in mind, I'm just wondering, Tom, if you have the materials to be for the preliminary prayers.
Yes, I do. I will share that. Would you like me to share it now?
Yes. Thank you. Okay. The first, setting a proper motivation. A final point is that whether we're happy, not happy, whether we lead a quality life or whether we lead a dreadful life, it is all determined by, of course, external factors are there, internal factors are there, but finally it is our internal factors which determine the 70-80% of our state of mind is determined by our internal factor right now. And so setting proper motivation, which is meant to shape our mind to be more peaceful, to be more compassionate, and to be more sensible. And oftentimes we are being we are being tremendously non-sensible. We're being totally irrational in what we do. We expect something and we do something opposite. So therefore, the point is to set a proper motivation to shape a mind, and that plays a very important role. In this connection, there are two things to keep in mind. One is to refrain from the unruly acts of your mind. You refrain from that. So refraining from that is known as a renunciation. Renunciation meaning to renounce the unruly actions of your body, speech, and mind. To renounce that so that your miseries will stop. So one that we seek is the fearlessness or freedom from miseries. And what attracts the miseries is our unruly body, speech, and mind actions. So that we have to stop, number one. Number two is voluntarily expand your mind towards others. That expands your happiness. So these are the two things, skills that we need to cultivate. And of course, in the process, how our mind is designed from our past habits, how our mind is designed is just in contradiction to these two, the modes where the mind should stop the aggressive approach physically, verbally, and mentally, and the mind should expand with the, say, tremendous love and affection. These two things, we don't know how to do these things. And these two involve sophistications, nuances, and the plans for long-term plans, not just immediate, but long-term plans. All these things involved. For that, we have to learn our mind. How it does is in a very different shortcut, easy, and easy will never take us to what we desire, and shortcut will never take us. Shortcut is like a symptomatic treatment. It'll never take us to a desired goal. So setting proper motivation sets the tone for our journey towards purifying the mind to reach the ultimate state of fearlessness and infinite happiness. So with this mind, let us say the number one refuge field. Let us visualize all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the inspirations of compassion, inspirations of the wisdom. Let us visualize them in front of us, Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings in a space in front of you, and them as so loving, caring, and embracing. And they're true to you and all beings. And next is the Bodhisattva field. Visualize your two parents with you, your two parents. And I'm sure some of you might have difficult times with your parents, not going along well. It doesn't matter. So this is how your parents are also not, the realized beings. You also not realized beings. We're also not realized beings. And this is how the unrealized beings, they behave. When something does not they happen according to your taste, then you react, and that happens, most likely it happens to your parents. So these are just the indications of our being ordinary. So we are studying the Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, the Wisdom chapter. This is a very sophisticated text where we are trying to prove ourselves that I want to transcend the ordinary people's thinking so that I will not succumb to miseries, the fears, and unhappiness anymore. So because you're trying to transcend ordinary people's thinking, we just try to forego, we try to get over the habitual tendencies to be unkind or to be reactive to your parents and so forth. Just try to include the two parents with you, and by keeping in mind what you were like when you were age 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, when in this world your mom, your dad gave you the maximum love and affection, and in this world nobody else, generally speaking, like minimum the 80% of the people, if not 100%. This is how we we become strong now. We become a decent human being now. It's all because of the efforts put by the parents when we were so vulnerable, so young, tender. So that should not be forgotten. So with this in mind, just go back in time, think more of that, and then your mind will, your attitude towards your parents will automatically change. It's going to be very beautiful. Okay, let's invoke the spirit, and likewise surrounded by your family members, including your children and all the dear sentient beings living on the side, the human beings, animals, insects, hungry ghosts, hell beings, god and goddesses, and all the beings around you. Okay, so you feel the love and affection towards all, and just feel that I am like the mother to take care of all these beings. Okay. And the purpose of this practice is to undertake the journey of cleansing the mind, cleansing the bad habits, and that the true nature of mind becomes manifest, which manifests in the form of perfect love, perfect knowledge, and perfect power. With this in mind, the imagine that you are leading this the recitation, and all the beings, including your two parents, your children, everyone is joining you in this recitation to cleanse the mind, to see these recitations as the mirror, with the help of which to cleanse your mind of the mental defilements. Okay, with this mind, let's recite this together. And teach with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel the same. Tom is the same. You'll say this 3 times. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. The next. We'll say this first in English, followed by in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanje joda zoge jonam no chanjo pardo dane gyapso che dage jinso kebe sonam ge jola benjere sanje dubare sho sanje joda zoge jonam no chanjo pardo dane gyapso che dage jinso kebe sonam ge jola benjere sanje dubare sho Sanje joda soge chonamla chanjo pardo dane gyapso che dage jinso gebe sonamgi chola penjir sanje rubara sho. The next. Independent origination. There is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads here is seeking pacification, complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subjugers expound a variety of teachings. The one who is transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, the Sugata, protector to you administrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate about a full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, we'll say this mantra together, and I can see that many of you are already familiar with this mantra. Many are familiar with the teaching organized by the Dhamma Friends of Israel. And let's say this together 3 times. And as we say this, we have to remember the meanings and the, if possible, experiences of emptiness to be invoked. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. The meaning of the mantra: all phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-lighted, non-composite. Such is the nectar dharma I've discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I've returned to the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. Is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times, I bear obeisance. The 4 seals of the Buddha's teachings. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, and the Guru is the Dharma. Likewise, the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source for everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom. If you're attached to this life, you're not a spiritual practitioner. If you're attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you're attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, we'll go to, Tom, we'll go to page, Mare, the Simgate. Page 59, to take the explanation. Page 59. Or 60. Oh, good. Too fast. Okay. No. Little but up. Little up, little up, little up. No, no, no. Just keep going up. Keep going up. No. 67, is it? Okay, page 67. Sorry. So this is. Okay, good. This is what we are looking for. No. Okay, good. Say that's good. Just go down. Just go down. Just go. No, go down or up. Up. Not down. Up. Good. Okay, we have 3 verses. Very good. Very good. This is what we are looking for. Okay, good. Thank you. If you can lift it up a little bit, you can. No, I go for refuge to the triple gem should be just at the top. Good. Then the 2 stanzas will come together, and the 3rd stanza should also come a little later. These are very important, and like taking medication for a long-term treatment for a chronic illness. We take the treatment of the medicines. We take the medicine almost like lifelong. Likewise, to look for lasting solution to our problems, we have to train every day. It's not about receiving teaching from somebody, from a teacher, and then you get a blessing, and then your whole life change. No, it can't be dramatic as such. The reality is that it's going to be a gradual process, but very steady process. And for that matter, we have to do something. So taking this aspiration Bodhisattva vow, taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, so for information, Bodhisattva vow is of 2 kinds, aspirational Bodhisattva vow and the engaged Bodhisattva vow. The engaged Bodhisattva vow, for the second one, somebody should be really prepared, meaning that the person should have some experience of bodhicitta through consistent meditation on bodhicitta. The 2 methods, method of the sevenfold cause effect method to generate bodhicitta, and the method of equalizing and exchanging self for others. With these 2 methods, we have to practice on a daily basis, and you see that your mind is expanding. Your mind is expanding, your compassion is expanding, and it becomes extremely sophisticated, the profound, and the well-grounded with the gravity. This is what happens. So this is something that you do on a daily basis. We can't expect that, you get some initiation, empowerments, and suddenly the bodhicitta, the flares in the mind. It never happens. So this requires our effort. Okay, so with this in mind, if you can say these 3 verses, reflect on the meanings of these lines on a daily basis, that could really have an effect. And of course, on top of that, if you can add the 2 practices, the 2 methods, that'll be very great. And in fact, we can't expect that. I'll do it sometimes later. At the moment, I'm a little young. I'm 50, or I'm 40, or I'm 30, or I'm 60. Let me do it later. When everything finishes, then I will sit, and then I will 24 hours I'll meditate on bodhicitta. That's not possible. Your body will not work, and your mind has already become tired. So the point is that we have to do these things on a daily basis. Okay, with this mind, let's say this together. Imagine that you are doing this, and all beings are joining us. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Okay, Tom, we can now make the 3rd stanza also come up. Okay, good. And these 2 stanzas will go together. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, just as they successfully dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelled in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Okay, good. I will do a little bit of review of what we did in the last the course. This is a continuation of the last course. It's going to be a quick review here. And thus far, what we learned is that the purpose for our studies or whatever we're doing, some people, the morning they get up and they think of, okay, now in my office, I have to meet this person, that person. Some people, they think I have this laundry to do. Some people, they think I have this thing to do. Some people, they say, okay, enthused by great compassion. I'll go for refuge in the Buddha. And some people are going, some people just engage the moment they wake up, they engage in various activities. And all these activities in the mind, it is like the start of the day, thinking that from this, I have these things to be done. This is that I should be doing. And what for? Why do you have to do these things? And deep inside, we know that we're doing these things, that and if something good is expected, something good things will happen to me, so that my problems will be over, will be less, and my happiness will be greater. So this is what we're expecting. So with this in mind, looking for, if you flow in the trend of our life, we see that it's okay till we meet with the tragedy, a severe tragedy. It's okay. We just okay, I have this prayers to do, and that person doesn't have any sadhanas prayers to do, right? Or that person is happy because the person can simply go to sleep directly without having to do the prayers, commitments. And so we see that it is okay. But some people, they have a deeper connection with your spirituality, or deeper connection with your true nature, the Buddha nature, and because of which, when you encounter with challenges, difficulties, or tragedies, then it hits you so hard that all what you see as okay becomes meaningless for us. And the life, let's say the festivities, the merriments, the birthday parties, these are all just meaningless. And this what can happen to us any time, to anybody. So at that point, wise people, they're already prepared. They're already very much prepared from the long time ago. Prepared. Okay, when such things happen, when such time hits me, then what should I be doing? So, for example, what are you doing now? Studying from the face of each one of us. I don't see anybody hit with a tragedy right now, but we are preparing. So these are the things which which the wise people should be doing, preparing ourselves way ahead of time before the tragedies actually hit us. Okay. And with this in mind, what I'm saying is that then when that time happens where you are hit by tragedy and you see the whole life is so gloomy, grim, and the meaningless, shattered, at that point, then you realize that I must get out of this whole existence. What existence? Samsaric existence, unpleasant existence. What is that? Samsaric existence. I must get out of this. How to get out of this? This is where we have to think of before it actually comes to us naturally. At that point, we have to think of that way ahead of time. Now, if you think of that, okay, if that time comes, then they are really crave to just see whether to really, if there is a way by which I can just dive into the earth so that nobody will even hear about me, or just I'll go somewhere nobody can see me. So, on such situation, then what will I do? What will I do? So finally, even if you go to a place where nobody hears about you, but your mind is with you, and your mind, which is the creator of the problem, is with you. When this mind is there, if untrained, then it continuously it will create problem in you. So how to fix it? So those people who can think about it way ahead of time, these people are known as wise. Those people who can think of this only at the last minute when the tragedies hit you. This is number one, the reality, in a way, within there are two kinds. One person who attempts to suicide. The another person that, no, I must get out of this existence. And even that person is so meritorious that at that point, I have to get out of this samsaric unpleasant existence if there's a way out. And wherever you go in the parties, merriments, five-star hotel, or wherever, the beautiful sunset and so forth, everything's just very shallow. If that hits you, and that instead of terminating your life, when you think of, is there any possibility whereby I can really get out of this existence, samsaric existence? That is so meritorious person. And even more meritorious are those people who can think about it way ahead of time when the tragedy actually hits us. Okay, so this is where we are preparing. Now, is there a way out? Yes, of course there is a way out. And the point is that even if we think of terminating the self cannot be terminated. This self is about whether the self, say today, each one of us, maybe I can see that I'm the youngest, maybe in 20s, otherwise we're in 30s, 40s, 50s. So what I'm saying is that, so this self, they say in my case, I'm 53 now. Say when I was like 10 years old. Now, and then over time, like 30 years old, 50s, and now 50s, and over time, if I live longer, it will be 60s, 70s. So we see that the body changes, but where the mind travels with the body, where the mind travels, the self travels. And then the self travels, the body changes, but the self continues to travel. It's not that, okay, when I was like 10 years old, I have so much problem. When I'm, when the body of a child, when that is gone, then I'll be very happy, liberated. No. Now, again, there's a different set of problems. This reality. So after leaving this body, again, you will get a new body. Again, the problem is there as long as our mind is not tamed. So because of this, what is very important for us is to think of all these things. We have time. It doesn't mean that we can relax. We have time. We think of, say what is really the problem? The problem, where is the problem? Where lies the problem? Outside, inside my mind, my body, or my family members, or my friends, or the world, or the COVID, or the wars. Where lies the problem? So this is what we need to examine, and then we'll come to realize that the two things. One is the external factors and the internal factors responsible for our problems. And external factors, we cannot really think of getting rid of the external factors altogether. And at the same time, external factors, we can keep a check on external factors to the best you can. We should not neglect that part. And the internal factors, where we can really make sure that if you put effort, that the internal factors are fixed and the problems are fixed altogether. Like the sound of clap of the two hands, say the internal factor is removed, then it's like the sound of one hand. No, the sound stops. All the misery stops. This is the wise people's approach. So with this in mind, what is that thing, internal factor, to be removed? What are the internal factors and how to get rid of the internal factors? So this is what we have been discussing in the last course, I would say. And then so this internal factor, but we give the example of a dream. You go into the dream and you create a world of dream, whole world there as a part of this dream. And your brain say, what happens is that, number one, okay, this is very important. And one first get the conviction in this example, and then see how much you can apply this to your real life. First, we go to bed, we fall asleep, and then our mind started to play. Play to what? Play to create the dream. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. So our mind creates a dream, which means the dream is the projection of our mind. Our mind projects the dream, number one. While your mind is projecting the dream, number two, we are unaware that our mind is projecting it. Okay, how many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. Okay, so we are unaware that we are projecting the dreams, number two. Number three, our mind is the subject and the contents of the dream as the objects. One, these objects, they're nothing but the projection of your own mind. Number one, your mind projects these. Number two, you are unaware that you're projecting these. Number two. Number three, because you're unaware that these are your own mental projection, you see them as real from the object. Number three, you see them as objectively real. This is ignorance. This is ignorance. Seeing things as, seeing what you have projected as objectively real. That is the ignorance. Then what happens? Number four. Then these objects, depending on how your mind plays, then these objects will start to affect you. The ghost will chase you. The tiger will chase you. And your neighbor will come to fight with you. And then what happens? Because you see them as real, you start to react. You react. You react, and then the samsara operates. Miseries operate. This is how samsara operates. Now, these 5 points. Number one, our mind projects. Number two, we're unaware that we're projecting it. Number three, that we believe them to be objectively real. Number four, that objects, therefore, they affect us. Number five, our mind then reacts. And then the results, the miseries ensue. This is how the samsara operates. Okay. This example, see if you can apply this to your own life. To see, not apply, to see how that resonates. This example resonates your life, the fears, all these things, how they operate, exactly how your dream operates on you. So, and to realize that this is how it resonates my own life, we need to have some glimpse of emptiness. And this text, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, chapter 9, the Wisdom chapter. This is so precious text, and I would highly recommend that you study the Acharya Chandragiri's text before we actually study the Aranigarjuna's text. Acharya Chandragiri's text, which is the Madhyamik avatar, entry into the middle way or supplement to the middle way. Entry in the middle way by Acharya Chandrakirti, number one. And then we already studying this text. This is like what complements Acharya Chandrakirti's text. These two must go together. And then on that basis, then you after getting a complete picture as presented in Acharya Chandrakirti's text and Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, then you can go to Nagarjuna's text on the fundamental wisdom of the middle way. And then you will get a beautiful picture and never feel satiated over the studies of emptiness. This is what I would say. In fact, I personally, for sharing with you, in fact, I've been taking interest in the emptiness since the day one I joined the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics. That is like 1988. How many years now? 1988. Anybody? 30 years. 30 years. Okay, 30 years. 32 years. 33 years. Okay, 33 years. Okay, 33 years. And then being in a Tibetan school before that, we are again already exposed to this concept of emptiness, although not in detail, but still the various important verses, they all we have formed them by our hearts. And particularly, I personally take interest in these concepts since my childhood. So what I'm saying is that the more you study, we see that the knowledge gets deeper and expanded. And this is an ongoing journey, and particularly in your meditation, in order to make the meditation not boring. Otherwise, meditation can become very boring. And some people who meditate on emptiness, they say that I meditate emptiness, in 2 minutes, my meditation emptiness is finished. So what should I do now? Some people say that. And some people say that when I do the meditation emptiness, then I feel the dizziness, really like not just conceptually cloudy, but physiologically dizzy. I could feel the dizziness of my head. I could feel that, I'm just having a headache. Some people report like this. So to make sure that these problems are not there, we have to know that if you don't want to react to the attack of the dream tiger on you, first, don't let the dream tiger attack you. Not to let the dream tiger attack you, don't believe the dream tiger attacked you as real. If you don't want to believe in this, be aware that it's your projection. If you want to be aware that it's your projection, stop the projection. That's it. This is how the miseries come to an end. This is how samsara comes to an end. It's so precious. This piece of information can take somebody like whole one life, 2 lives, 5 lives to unfold this meaning of these 5 points, which I indicated to you. And all these amazing classics of the philosophy are in Nagarjuna's text, Acharya Chandrakirti's text, Bodhisattva Shantideva's text. They are all designed in order to let the people unfold this meaning, the meaning of these 5 points. Okay. So with this, and how many of you are, how many of you were absent in the last course? Raise hands. Okay. And okay, don't worry. If possible, what I would suggest is that from what you do now, it is like a different section. If you have the earlier exposure to the earlier course, no doubt, what you're going to do now is going to be easier. I want to say easier. And those of us who are not exposed to those who were missing in the last course, then and from those who raise hands, I can see that Some of you already are part of the Nalanda Master's course of Tibet House and Nalanda Diploma course of Tibet House. I can see that. And those of you who are already from the Nalanda Master's course and Nalanda Diploma Master's course, 4 years, and now doing the fifth, turning to the fifth one, and Nalanda Diploma course, which is for 1 year. For this year, it's going to be just 10 months. And the first batch and second batch, the third batch is going now. The first batch, second batch, you're already exposed to the teaching on emptiness. Those who are already exposed to teaching on emptiness, what you're doing now is going to be like a revision number 1. It's going to be very helpful. Very helpful. And the approach, of course, the essence is just the same as what Acharya Chandragiri taught, but the presentation is going to be slightly different. And whereas those who are new to this, whether you are new or whether you are, let's say, already exposed, I would highly, highly recommend you that never feel satiated with the study of emptiness. And emptiness and bodhicitta, these two are very different. Bodhicitta, you can learn how to practice it if the teacher has a good exposure to the format of the bodhicitta meditation, the details, all these things, and you can learn bodhicitta, the technique in about like 1 or 2 weeks, very effectively. But to experience bodhicitta will take time. To know about bodhicitta will not take much time. And of course, you can keep expanding it, but to get a blueprint of what the bodhicitta is like, it will not take much time. But to experience bodhicitta will take a lot of time. And sometimes it can be very disheartening. You may feel that, okay, it has now become too mechanical. I'm not going anywhere. I get stuck here. Okay. Whereas emptiness is very different. Emptiness, to get a clue of what emptiness is, to get a good picture, a steady picture of what emptiness is, will take time. It will take time. It requires extensive studies. And finally, a picture meaning that you think of the self, that self really does not exist the way it appears to me. It's besides projection, it doesn't really exist from the object. And the moment you feel it, the goosebumps come on your body, a tinge of a fear comes to you, and then it's so like it's total vacuum there, out there, besides what comes to your projection, the infallibility of the functionalities, out there, from the object per se. There's nothing there as a self, and the fear can arise in you. So to reach there, and some people, and they can get it within that experience. Again, there are various layers, and to really identify what these layers are, and to get to the ultimate final layer, to see that this is emptiness, it'll take a long time. So in other words, the study of the emptiness takes a long time, and the experience, once the study is complete, where you have a good picture of good study and reflection of emptiness, then the great masters, they say that to get experience of emptiness, after these extensive studies, to get experience of emptiness is pretty quick. It will not take as much time, unlike the bodhicitta experience. Okay. So the point is that the wisdom of emptiness, until we have this wisdom of emptiness, no matter what practice we do, any practice, whatever practices we sound as so profound, will not lead us even outside samsara. In other words, we will constantly be trapped, because as long as you don't see the emptiness, we continue to dream. We continue to live in the world of the dream, which is ignorance. And within the dream, you can have a pleasant dream, nice dream, compassionate dream, meditating dream, and so forth. You all live in the world of the dream. As long as you live in the world of dream, this is samsara. There's no separate place known as samsara. The fact that we live in the dream of ignorance, that is samsara. Okay, let's not forget this. With this in mind, the long-term plan is how to wake up. How to wake up so that you don't project, you stop projecting things. Having stopped projecting things, you don't have to believe that what you projected are objective real. You stop believing in this. Stop believing in this, then you the objects will stop affecting you. Objects stop affecting you, you stop reacting. And your reaction, that's action. Your action is responsible for the karmas. Your action from karmas is responsible for the operation of samsara. So samsara is operated because of this. So samsara stops for you. It's not that because of your meditation, the whole samsara stops and then everybody's liberated. No, this is how we live in the illusion. This is again another illusion. Samsara stops for you, not for others. Okay, so with this in mind, finally, we have to stop dreaming. We have to stop dreaming so that we are not under the dictate of the dream. We are not under the sway of the dream. That the dream cannot dictate you. That you are freed. Nothing in the dream can affect you anymore. Okay, so nothing external objects can affect you anymore. Seeing that they're all like dreams. They're not dreams. They are like dreams. With this in mind, let's keep it. This is very important. Okay, now from this section, what are you doing now? We see that what is a dream? The moment we speak about the dream, there are two things. One is the dreaming mind, and what is dreamt. What is dreamt as the object, and the dreaming mind as the subject. So subject, object, we need to know of this. And the dreaming mind and the dreaming person. So the dreamer is the mind, is the person. So my mind is dreaming, and because my mind dreams, that I am referred to as the dreamer. I'm the dreamer. And then what is dreamt? The contents of the dream. We should think of these two things, objects and the subjects. Objects, what are dreamt, and the subjects, the dreamer, the two things. With this in mind, so there are two options. That, in fact, the dreamt, that is the objects, they are the dream. And even the dreaming mind is also a dream, or the dream-like. Even the dreaming mind is also like a dreaming mind, like a dream. And the dreaming person is also like a dream. So when we see that, the object, let's say, okay, this beautiful flower as an object, and your mind, the projector, which projects the dream of the flower. So the object is created, and the dreaming mind is there. We have the two things coming together. Then the sound is erupted. This sound is the sound of samsara. This sound is the where. Okay, let's say this is very interesting. This is very interesting. Let's say that when I lost my mother, let's say that the time I lost a mother who was so dear to me, at that point, I saw somebody bring a flower, like this flower, exactly like this flower, that pink flower. And this visual object and my memory of the sadness, these two are linked by my mind. This visual object of the flower and the memory, the very, very sad, acutely painful, the sadness of the loss of my mother, these two are linked. Then after like 30, 40 years time, I see this flower, instantly the visual memory of the past is retrieved, visual memory which was connected with the sad memory of the loss of the mother, that's also retrieved. And the moment I see this, the past memory simply is retrieved, and then the deep sadness comes to me, and I just don't like to see this flower. Okay, this is how our emotions work. I don't want to see this flower, not because that, you know, some people describe this very beautiful flower, but some people said, no, please don't this flower, it brings sadness with me, a deep sadness with me. This is what happens. So the point is that the mind, the mind, the subject and the object, these two are connected, and say the object affects the subject. If it's pleasant, it affects the subject. If it's unpleasant, it affects the subject. So let's see that this is unpleasant, it affects the subject. Nobody's like this. Oh no, it gives me a very painful memory. Please take it away. Okay, nobody wants that. Oh, is it very pleasant? Again, it affects you, but everybody likes it. Everybody likes it. So the moment you like it, the moment that is taken away, because of liking it, the disliking is a side product. Because earlier, before you know about the existence of this flower, you have no liking, you have no disliking. You don't have the pain of disliking it. Now you have the object, you like it, and the moment it is gone, then the pain comes to you. So this pain was the product of you liking that object. Okay, so these are things that we need to know, how the objects affect you. And finally, even if I'm a neutral to the flower, I'm neutral. Okay, by the way, how many of you, not this flower, in general, how many of you are crazy after the flowers? Raise hands. Okay, Ruchitaji, Venerable Yakila. Okay, raise hands. Those who are crazy after Tom. Okay, Ruchitaji. Oh, only few. Okay, Shahala. Shahala, not because I don't remember having seen flower pots in your house. Okay, are they those people who are crazy after flowers? I know who they are. You go into the house, you will see the house filled with their flower pots. Beautiful, just can see that they're well taken care of. Okay, and that's very interesting. I'm not somebody who's crazy after flower, but when I see somebody else really taking care of the flowers, it just gives me a feeling of being at home. I could see that, okay, this person has a quality of taking care of something. It's so beautiful. Okay, now let's say that people who are like so-so, like Shahala, so-so, it's a beautiful flower there, you appreciate. If you don't have it, it's fine. I'm not really crazy after this. So-so, even so-so, there's a problem. So you see, it's very beautiful. Somebody just say, you have been caressing this flower very delicately. Somebody picks up like this, without any care, right? It's so like your heart is being shaken, right? Oh no, please don't do it like this. Okay, one. And then the somebody who really dislikes flower. What is flower? Right? What is flower? Okay. So there, if somebody spends so much time with the flower, you say, what are you doing? This flower will not give you food, right? This flower will not fill your belly. And so some people, they hate the flowers. Some people, they're crazy after flowers. Some people, they're so-so. So hate the flower means the moment you see the flowers, it gives agitation within you. The crazy of the flowers, when something goes wrong to the flower, again, the agitation comes to you. And so-so is also a problem. Because, okay, this is very subtle, the so-so. This is very subtle. How it is a problem? This is very important. Okay, let's say you are the person whose attitude towards the flower is so-so, half-half. And you start dreaming of somebody bringing a flower for you. And what's your reaction? Your reaction is so-so. But your mind will be pulled towards the flower. How many agree with me? Yes. Actually, there's no flower there. Actually, there's no flower there. In the dream, I'm talking about the dream. There's no flower there. But you see that, what is a flower? I don't like the flower. I don't hate the flower, but there's a flower there. Right? Your mind, you are trying to, you are somewhere, your mind is somewhere, and from there your mind is deviated, trapped by the flower. Although you are not crazy for the flower, you don't hate the flower, but your mind gets stuck there. When your mind gets stuck there, you stop, your mind stops to think of other objects. Which means that your mind gets stuck to one object, your mind cannot flow to other objects. Your mind gets stuck to one object. What is that? There's no real object there. It's your mind dreaming it. And this will stop. When you wake up, you said that my mind, Why I'm so stupid to get stuck to the dream flower in the dream. But in the dream, you will not say that I'm stupid, that my mind gets stuck to this dream flower. Okay, yeah, there's a flower there. So this is the ignorance. This is not attachment. This is not aversion. This is ignorance, where your mind is pulled by the object, not in ways that the object is so beautiful, but the object is seen as real, so that your mind is pulled by the object. Okay, this is a very subtle concept. That pull is known as the samsara. If somebody were to ask you what exactly samsara is, where your mind projects the object and your mind gets stuck there. There is something there. This is known as self-grasping ignorance, and that is samsara. Okay, this the world that is created by the projection, and you believing in it, that is samsara. Let's not forget it. So with this in mind, what I'm saying is that, so we have the object and we have the subject. Object like COVID-19, and then because of which the lockdowns, all these things happen. One, then internally you feel agitated. Why this lockdown for so long? Why COVID so long? And you feel agitated. There's a subject there. There's an object there. So finally, this mind, the subject, is getting agitated. The subject which gets agitated involves two: the mind and your person, the self. The person and the mind. When I say the person, I simply mean the empirical person. I mean the empirical person who I can relate to. For example, Shahala, Gilala, or Liorala, I can relate to these people. I can see them. I can communicate with them. That is what I meant by the empirical person, empirical self. I'm not talking about, some the exotic concepts, there's a self, but I'm talking about the empirical thing. This empirical self is suffering. Because this empirical self is suffering, we have to get it with the suffering from this empirical self. And look, we have to look for ways and means to get rid of the suffering related to the empirical self. One. And then the object with which they interact with the empirical self interacts. And because of in the process, then the suffering erupts. So these two things will constantly meet. The samsara continues to operate. Is it the case? We cannot stop it. We cannot stop the samsara. We can stop it. It's all because that because of misconception to object as real, misconception of subject as real. These two things, believe that the object is real, subject is real, meet, then invariably the miseries erupt. So the point is that how to see that the object is not real, how to see that the subject is not real. When you speak of the subject is not real, then the subject, it involves the mind, it involves the self. So here in this text, say how the object does not exist truly, of the two hands coming together of which the erupts into the sound of miseries. Of the two hands, so seeing the object as not real, you remove one hand. Now the only one hand is left, no sound stops. And you can also dissolve the other hand. That becomes even more stable. That both hands are dissolved, seeing the object as not real, seeing the subject is not real. Seeing the object is not real, you pull one hand down. And seeing the subject is not real, pull the other hand down. Then there's nothing left to clap, and there's no sound possible. Okay, so this is the idea. With this in mind, let's say we see that the object is not real. We see the subject is not real, and that subject for timing. Let me take the person. Subject in the sense of the person. So we say the subject is not real. The person is not real. We have to know that the person is not real. Person is not objectively real. We have to know that the object is not objectively real. So for this are the great teachings which the Buddha taught, the teaching on unreal nature of the phenomenon. The Buddha taught that in the form of the two kinds of selflessness. Selflessness of person which means the absence of true nature of the person, and the selflessness of phenomena, the phenomena other than the person, the phenomena with which the person interacts. Selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena. So in the very standard text, you will see the teaching on the emptiness in two forms. There's selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena. And in some texts, the order can be different. Say selflessness of phenomena first, followed by the selflessness of person. And in the other texts, selflessness of person first, followed by the selflessness of phenomena. So this order doesn't really matter as much. By the Acharya Chandrakirti's text, selflessness of phenomena is taught first, followed by this selflessness of person. Like the dream nature of the object first, dream nature of phenomena first, are followed by the dream nature of the person. Whereas in Bodhisattva Shantideva's text here, in this text, the selflessness of person is taught first, the selflessness of phenomena taught later. So the sequence is different. It doesn't matter. It's not that, this is how we have to realize emptiness. No, it depends on you. You can meditate. Sometimes you can meditate on selfless phenomena. Sometimes you can meditate on the semblance of person. And sometimes you can do the other way around. After all, we have to get used to this. You have to get used to this. Get used to this meditation. And then with the certain factor, for some people, realization of selfless person can happen first, followed by the selfless of phenomena. Whereas for others, selfless of phenomena realized first, followed by the selfless person. Okay, so this is how it is. And this is extremely powerful. Let's say that first, in your meditation, you see the emptiness of all the objects other than the self. Dissolve all the objects. See them, they're like all dream, projection from my own mind dream. Okay, of the two things, object and subject, the object is dissolved. Now the subject is left. Yourself, I, the self is left. And even the self is also like a dream. Then the self dissolves. What is left? Now the non-duality is left. The object, subject, object is dissolved. Of the two, first there are two. Object, subject, there are two. Duality is there. You dissolve the object. Now there's one thing. Only the subject is left. This is what many of the Hindu traditions, like I won't say Hindu tradition, I would say like Vedanta, they believe that, okay, now the object is dissolved with respect to them. Object is dissolved, then only the subject is left. So there is non-duality, because dual means two. There's only one left. There's no two, none left. This is what they call as non-duality. But in Buddhism, in the Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, in our Nagarjuna's teachings, not only the object dissolves, also the subject dissolves. So there's nothing left there. That is non-duality. So non-duality, there are two versions. Say the Advaita Vedanta. In Vedanta, they talk about the non-duality. Advaita meaning non-duality. Non-dual, non-duality. So there what is left is not that nothing is objectively real. No, this is not the concept. For them, the subject is objectively real. And the objects are all empty they're all illusion from their point of view. Only the subject is objectively real. Only one thing is left. Because there's one, there's no two. So duality is not there. It's a non-duality. Whereas from the Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching point of view, even the subject does not exist objectively. Subject exists. It does not exist objectively. So the subject also dissolves. Not only object dissolves, all the subject dissolves. So there's no objectivity left there. So that is the non-duality. That's interesting now. So now imagine that you are in the non-dual experience. But you think of that, who's meditating? My mind is meditating. The mind which realizes non-duality, that is meditating. Even that mind is also dreamlike. Even that mind dissolve that. Experience is going to be very profound. Very profound. It's for this reason that in all these teachings, like the Dzogchen meditation, and the Mahamudra meditation, then in the meditation of the union of clarity and emptiness, the union of bliss and emptiness, in all these meditations, finally, they'll boil down to the mind and to see the emptiness of this mind. Emptiness of this mind. The mind which realizes emptiness, the emptiness of that mind which realizes the emptiness, is a very profound concept. So this is what is emphasized in the Nalanda tradition, be it Dzogchen tradition or the Mohammedan tradition or the unit of clarity and the emptiness tradition, or the unit of bliss and emptiness tradition. In all these traditions, finally will boil down to seeing the emptiness of the mind, which is whose radiance we feel the whole universe. Okay, so with this mind, what we're doing is now, let's say that we have to see the illusion-like nature of the object. Solidification of the object must dissolve. Solidification of the object must dissolve. Okay, let's say that we talk about prank. Some people, they just, put on some kind of the dresses, and comes in the night as well, like the person's like a ghost. And then you imagine that your brother does it to you. Then what do you feel? Your tremendous fear is there. At a moment, your brother removes the mask and shows his face. What do you feel? You feel so relieved. Why do you feel relieved? Okay, my question to you. Why do you feel so relieved? Why? Why? Because the person who was inside the dress was the same after removing it, or before it's the same person, your brother? And even the mask also the same? Before he removed it and after he removed it, the mask is the same? So there's no change there. Why there's a change in your emotion? At first, there's tremendous fear. And in the second, so relieved. Why? Okay, Ruchitaji.
Geshe-la, it's because your perception changed. In the first instance, you believed that you did not know that there was your brother behind that mask. So you were fearful because you did not know the reality. But when you came to know the reality that it's really your brother behind that mask, then you feel safer, and then that fear dissolves. So the change
change in your perception. Okay, thank you. How many agree with Rujitaji? Raise hands. Okay, we all agree with Rujitaji. Thank you. Okay, so let me put it slightly differently. Let's say at first you thought that there was a ghost there. There was a ghost there, or a burglar there. A burglar there, or which actually there was no ghost. And your mind projected a ghost. Number one. And you are unaware that you projected it. Because you're unaware you projected it, and you're unaware that you projected it, you see the so objectively real ghost. And because of that, then the ghost starts to play as a ghost. It affects you. And then you reacted. You reacted. So this is how the whole thing operates. The whole samsara operates. Okay. With this in mind, now let's see the solidification. There's no ghost there, but your mind solidifies a ghost there. Objectified a ghost there. Like what's the flower? Flower's there, but not as objectively as how we solidify it. Like what's everything. So we have to desolidify the object. We have to desolidify the subject. When that happens, still the object and subject interact, but there's no sound. Okay. Now on the okay, how to desolidifying the object is learning to understand the selflessness of the phenomena, and desolidifying the subject is learning to see the selflessness of the person. So here in this text, we're going to do the selflessness of person first, followed by the selflessness of phenomena. Okay, we will read, Tom, we're going to read from page 27, if we're on the same page. Thank you. Reasons that establish the view of selflessness. Now, how do we know that? Okay, yes, with these 5 points and with the help of example, it's very convincing. Yes, my problems can come to an end if, say, that I will stop reacting if the object stop affecting me. And the object will stop affecting me if I stop believing in the object to be objectively real. And my belief in the object of objectively real will stop if if I'm aware that I'm projecting it. If I'm aware that I'm projecting it, then I can stop projecting it. Once I stop projecting it, then I'm being freed from all the contents of the dream. So this is how I'll be liberated. This is so precious, so precious. With this in mind, how to stop projecting the self, the person. Next, how to stop the projection of the object. Okay. Reasons that establish the view of emptiness. First, establishing the selfless person. So the view of emptiness and selflessness, in a loose sense, these two are synonymous. In a loose sense, emptiness and selflessness. And why I qualified this with in a loose sense is for the reason that selflessness can be studied in 5 different layers, 5 different levels. Last time I did mention this, the selflessness of unitary, independent, permanent selflessness of permanent, unitary, independent self. Selflessness of autonomous substantial reality, and selflessness of external reality, selflessness of true existence, and selflessness of objective / intrinsic / inherent existence. Okay, this 5. Those of you from the last course, you have them there. Don't worry. I'll request Tibet House Program Coordinator, Tinsu Dumala, to do it, and we'll send it to Tom, and Tom can share it with all of us. So 5 layers of the selflessness. And emptiness, when you speak of the emptiness, it refers to the ultimate, the final one, not the grosser ones. So this is how we need to make the decision. But in a loose sense, selflessness and emptiness, these two are same. So what we have here is reasons to establish the view of emptiness. And particularly in this context, in the context of this school, we talked about Vaibhashya School, South Atlantic School, Chittamatra School, and Madhyamika School. 4 schools are there. And the philosophy that we're following now, it is according to the highest Buddhist school, which is the Prasangika school. So from this school point of view, emptiness and the selfless person, let's say emptiness and selflessness, these two are synonymous, except that emptiness should be the selflessness can be understood in the grosser and the subtle one. Subtle selflessness and the emptiness, these two are synonymous. Okay. The first, it says establishing the selfless person. So we keep in mind that there's a selflessness of phenomena to be studied later on. Now, this self identified as Dorji, identified as each one of you, like Leorala, like Ben, Shahala, Tom, Gilala, and so forth. So each one of you as a self. How many of you are that sure that, yes, there is a self? I'm there. I came here for this class. Raise hands. Very good. Okay. This is how we have to begin from. We have to base our understanding on the reality that, yes, I'm there, right? To study the emptiness, we have to keep in mind 2 questions. As you pursue through the journey of emptiness, you're bound to face with some challenges. That, okay, emptiness means nothing is there, but I'm there, right? And in fact, some acclaimed professors who claim themselves to be experts in Buddhist philosophy, very senior professors, even they say that in Buddhism, there's no self. In Buddhism, nothing exists. This is a total naivety, is a total misconception. In Buddhism, the self is there. Never say that self doesn't exist there. At times, when great teachers like His Holiness the Dalai Lama in their teachings, because His Holiness does not really get time to go into all these details. In the early times, lucky days, when His Holiness was still very energetic, young, 40s and 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s, there he would spend like 6-7 hours a day in giving public teachings. We are very lucky those days. So nowadays, say the 3 days teaching and 1 day is only 1 hour, maximum 1.5 hours, which means that we are getting much less time from His Holiness nowadays. So there, because of the constraint of time, His Holiness may say the self is not there, right? Self is not there, which means objective self is not there. Objective self is not there. This is how we need to contextualize. So with this in mind, we have to begin your exploration of emptiness with 2 questions. The first question is, do things exist, including myself? If your answer is no, things don't exist, things are empty, you fall into nihilism. This is not emptiness. You fall into nihilism. Let's not forget it. The self exists. Others exist. Phenomena exist. Every good things exist. Bad things exist. The Buddha exists. Everything exists. Second question. Do things exist objectively? Second question. Only after you get the answer. Only after you get the first question. The answer to the first question. Do things exist? Answers affirmative. Yes, things exist. Then you are entitled to go for the second question. Do things exist objectively? If you say yes, you fall into absolutism, extreme of absolutism. So you should be able to say no to the second question. No, things don't exist objectively. Things exist, but they don't exist objectively. If you're able to say that, you are going in the direction of emptiness, the proper emptiness. Okay, so let's not forget this. Okay, my first question to you. Does the self exist? Meaning you. Do you exist? Raise hands. Who will say yes? Raise hands. Okay, don't forget it. We are on the same page. We are on the same page. I said yes. You also said yes. Now, and Bodhisattva Shantideva said yes. Now we're going to explore. Okay. Then second question. So what is being discussed from this page down? It is not exploring whether self exists. It is exploring whether self exists objectively. Let's not forget it. If you get a conclusion, okay, no, right? It does not exist. The conclusion is not that self does not exist. Conclusion is self does not exist objectively. Or in other words, objective self does not exist. Don't forget it. If the conclusion that you get, find the conclusion is no. This no it is not no to the self, it is no to the objective self. Don't forget it. Okay, so from this line, it says, establishing the selfness of persons. If there were something called a self, there would be something to be afraid. Meaning that if the self, so here is all qualified, it is all to be the self referred to as self, or to be referred to as the objective self. If such an objective self exists, objective self, independent self exists, then the viewing the independent self is not mistaken. If it is not mistaken, because of seeing the self as objective real, then this self will affect you, and you react. For example, with respect to me, Shahala self, I see Shahala self as objective real, then he does something good to me or bad to me, I'm affected. The moment I'm affected, then I react. Because I react, then the miseries perpetuate. This is how the miseries operate. If the self does exist objectively, you cannot stop the miseries. Okay, my question to you. If the self does exist objectively, how can you not stop the miseries? Nobody can stop the miseries. Even the Buddha cannot stop the miseries. Nobody can stop the miseries if the self does exist objectively. Okay, who's going to give me the answer? Very quick. Raise hands. The lucky that the self does not exist objectively. Therefore, there is a possibility for the freedom from all the miseries. Okay, Smitaji.
Because the self would be fixed then, right? It exists. There is no transformation that can happen. Okay. Can't hear you.
If it's what are you saying is that if the self is objective, okay, let us all listen to what the Smitaji is saying, and which I am paraphrasing now, and see if you agree with her. If the self exists objectively, then the self should be fixed. If it is fixed, there's no room for transformation. If there's no room for transformation from the miseries to the happiness, then you will continue to suffer. And if you continue to suffer without any possibility for getting out, even the Buddha cannot help you. Is this what Smitaji is saying? Okay. How many agree with Smitaji? Raise hands. Okay. I would agree with Smitaji very much. Very much so. This is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it. Okay, let's say that if you are objectively real, if you say, for example, in my life, okay, in my life, particularly when I was very young, age 5, I lost my mother, and then we were put in the boarding school where we were handed over to, the small children. They were all handed over to a child who is a little older. So I was handed over to one girl who was, who must be, I was like age 5. She must be age 10, 11. And she really, I still could remember, I still have the very vivid memory of her traumatizing me. The moment I see her, I just start to shake of fear, uneasiness, irritation. So now, imagine if that person who is a perpetrator, who victimizes me, if that person is objectively real, then she is fixed. But I can run away from her. As I become older, I can run away from her. You're getting it? Although she is fake, she may not change, but I can run away and I can be free from. The point is that, now look, this is a very subtle, what Smitaji said is very true. This is a very important point. Let's not forget that. At the same time, from this study, we are introducing another very subtle way of looking at it. Very subtle way of how the samsara is seen in a very subtle form. Say, if the other person is objectively real, then for you there's no freedom. There's no freedom from miseries at all for anyone. Okay, now I'm going to present it to you. Just listen to this. We have already heard what Smitaji said. Now I'm going to present to you this. If the other person does exist objectively, then the person will behave. The person behaves, the person exists. And your mind and the person, these two are totally disconnected. Your mind is not projecting the person. If the person exists objectively, then your projection of the mind has no role. The person exists objectively. How many of you agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. If your mind has no role to play, then you cannot stop the projection. In which case, the person will continue to, for example, say the dream. If you don't stop the projection of the dream will continue. The dream will continue to affect you. As a pleasant object, it will affect you. As an unpleasant object, it will affect you. Even as a neutral object, it will affect you. You see, as the way, in the manner in which I said earlier, that, oh, there's a flower there. I don't like the flower. I don't hate the flower. Oh, there's a flower there. My mind gets stuck there. So there, my mind loses the freedom to move around. You're getting it? My mind loses freedom to move around because my mind is trapped by the object there, which I saw as objectively real. Okay, how many of you get some sense that this is how my mind is trapped, even by neutral object? Raise hands. Okay, that's good. I'm so happy. Okay, this is how, and this understanding that I'm sharing with you now, and you're getting it, and you get a glimpse of emptiness, that things are all projection of my mind. Then you realize, be it pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, all affects your mind as long as you see them as objectively real. That is samsara. Okay, so with this mind, now if you see that the object or the person does this objectively, then it continues to affect you. If it continues to affect you, there's no freedom. If there's no freedom, that is what you should be afraid of. So it says, if there was something called a self, so self meaning objectively as a self, there would be something to be afraid of, because you can never be free from samsara. But as one finds the self nowhere, as one finds the objective self nowhere, all these you have to qualify with the, because these are all to do with the second question, not with the first question. The objective self. As but as one finds the objective self nowhere, who is there to experience fear? So the self, the object, shahala, is not object real. I myself, experience of the fear is also not object real. Who is there to create the fear, and who is there to feel the fear? This is all your own projection. Okay, now how do we know that the object, the person, other person, or the myself, we don't exist objectively? We all like dream. How do we know that? Okay, say, do you agree with me that okay, I have one pocket in my this shirt in my pocket, and if you have never, okay, I have one thing in my pocket. I have one thing in my pocket. Okay, you may be wondering, what is that? What is that thing that he might be keeping in his pocket? So that is langchen. Langchen is in my pocket. Okay, how many you are happy? How many you are okay? So he keeps langchen in his pocket. How many are happy with this? Raise hands. Okay, good. And how many are not happy? Raise hands. Okay, the Tamila, why are you not happy?
I don't think you can have your lunch in your pocket.
Why not?
It's too small. Everything filled.
No, what is langchen? Kami, what is langchen?
Maybe I didn't understand. I thought you were saying that you had your lunch.
Oh, I said langchen.
I don't know.
I always carry langchen in my pocket.
Sorry, I don't know what luncheon is.
Okay, so how many you are, the Shahala is not happy? Shahala, why are you not happy?
Because I don't know how you can put an elephant in your pocket.
Okay, langchen means elephant. You're getting it? Langchen means elephant. So my pocket is too small and the langchen is huge. It cannot really fit in my pocket. So therefore, if there is langchen there in my pocket, you go into the pocket and you should be able to see the langchen there, elephant there. You're getting it? How many agree with me now? How many agree with Shahala and me now? If there's elephant in my pocket, you have to, how do you know that there's elephant in my pocket? You have to go into my pocket, right? You have to go into my pocket and see if there's elephant, right? If you don't find it, you say that elephant doesn't exist in the pocket. How many agree with this approach? Raise hands. Very good. Likewise, if this flower does exist objectively, how should you analyze it? You have to go closer towards the object. By going closer to the object, if you find the object, then you say that yes, the flower exists objectively. By going closer to the object, if you don't find the object, the flower, that you say the flower does not exist objectively. How many of you agree with me in this approach? Raise hands. This is very important. They say the approach, very important concept. Now, our mind, which interacts with the flower, there are two kinds of mind. There are two kinds of minds. Okay. How many you are on the planet Earth now? How many you are on the planet Earth now? Okay, very good. And how many you are seeing this beautiful planet Earth, right? Blue planet Earth now? Raise hands. Are you seeing the planet Earth? Are you seeing the planet Earth? Huh? Okay, just look down. Look down. Is that the planet Earth or not? Are you on the planet Earth, or are you outside? You are thrown outside the planet Earth. You are sitting on the planet Earth, right? You are sitting on the planet Earth, but you don't see the blue planet, right? But from it's the space, you see the planet Earth is very beautiful. Very beautiful blue planet. It's beautiful. Okay. Now, from distance, you see the planet Earth is very beautiful. From close by, it's not that beautiful as this marble like the planet. Okay. Which close by, you see the planet Earth in one way. From distance, you see the planet Earth in another way. How many agree with me? Okay, which of the two is correct? Which of the two approaches is correct? Or which of the two perceptions is correct? From distance, wow, it's a beautiful planet Earth. Look at it from every angle, from any side. It's so beautiful. You just like to play with it. When you're actually on the planet Earth, some places are nice, some places not that nice, very scary. Places are there. Okay, so which of the two perceptions is correct? Raise hands. Leorala experienced this. Leorala, unmute. Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed the question. Sorry.
Okay. My question is that the planet Earth, the way we are seeing now, some is desert, some is very hot, some is terribly cold, versus planet Earth seen from the space as a very beautiful blue ball. Beautiful blue ball. Which of the two perceptions is correct?
It's difficult to see planet Earth from within the planet Earth. It's easier to see it as any object from the outside. Whether it's correct or not, it's a different question. So,
no, are you on the planet Earth now?
I'm on the planet Earth, and I cannot see it properly from within.
No, what I'm saying, are you on the planet Earth? You're on the planet Earth, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying whether you are seeing it properly. You're on the planet Earth. And if you go to, say, the top side of Israel, from there you can see a vast land. That's also part of planet Earth. When you are seeing that, you are seeing planet Earth or not?
I see part of it. I'm not seeing
part of it. Very good. Part of it. From distance, you also see a part of the planet. You don't see the full planet Earth. You see the part of it. From distance, what you see is very beautiful. From nearby, it's not as beautiful as what you see, like a marble, beautiful blue marble.
If I'm closer, I can see more accurately going towards the.
No, this is not my question. My question is, which of the two perceptions? These two perceptions are contradictory. One is seen so pleasant, nice, beautiful, and the other is not so nice as beautiful. So which of the two perceptions is the correct?
Neither.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, Leorala, You must be seeing everything like a dream, like an illusion, like a dream.
I hope so. I want to.
Okay. Okay, now there's the young girl, Janhavi.
So I think that from both the both of it is correct, because one person is seeing it from a distance and he finds it beautiful. That is one perception and can be one. And when you go close to the earth and you see some deserts and whatever, that is also the truth. So both of it is correct in its own place. Like nothing is wrong.
Okay. So how many agree with the Deshmukh's the view? Raise hands. Okay, both are correct. Nothing's wrong. Both are correct. So what Deshmukh is saying is that they say it's not about the object. It's about how you view it. You view from distance, you see it one way. You look closely, the way Leorella said, closely you view it another way. So there are two ways of looking at the same object, which means that there are two perceptions taking place. When we speak about the perception, okay, now without much, okay, now I have to stop here. Okay, before we stop, I like to quickly introduce the two terminologies. In a loose sense, we can look at the same object from distance, the mind at the distance, looking at the object, and another mind looking at the same object close by. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. So the same object can be seen by your mind from two different distances. One from a distance and one from close by. The mind in a loose sense, this is one that I'm giving you. The mind which is looking at the same object from distance in a loose sense is known as the conventional analysis. Let us learn these terminologies. The mind which looks at the object from distance is known as conventional analysis. And the mind which looks at the object from close inspection, that is known as ultimate analysis. For the time, I'd like to introduce these two words, and in the next session, I'll explain in greater detail, what these two are. Okay, we'll stop here for now. We have another 47 minutes. We have 47 minutes break, and let's come back. Yeah. Okay, see you.
Thank you very much.